It's probably time for me to move on from Fallout 76, but at the same time, Bethesda really deserves to have a fire lit under their ass for their recent transgressions. What they've done is nothing short of mind-boggling. Many of you probably know about the subscription service that they're charging $100 a year for, in which they paywall gameplay features and elements that a lot of people expected would be out for free, because Bethesda promised that microtransactions and monetization would be cosmetics only, and that all gameplay-related stuff would be doled out to everyone at no additional cost. They obviously broke that promise, and on top of all of that, turns out that the subscription service doesn't even work at launch. It launched broken. Private World Scrapbox do not work as intended. What has Bethesda done since then? Not much. They have tried to pretend like all is well with the world, so after all of this backlash began to spread, this is what they posted. Fallout 76 around Appalachia, October 25th, 2019, and it's some post about a Halloween event. And if you go on Twitter, the last thing in regards to Fallout 76 that the Fallout Twitter page posted, other than retweeting some maintenance stuff, is the Halloween thing that's right around the corner. And the comments aren't pleasant. People are not amused by Bethesda just flat out ignoring the backlash, pretending like nothing's happening, not responding in any way, not showing any signs of remorse, nothing. And in turn, people have just kept protesting. And one major way that one fan in particular protested is by snatching up falloutfirst.com, a domain that somehow Bethesda didn't think to secure before somebody else did. And what did this fan do with this domain? Well, they posted this, what can only be described as a shitpost, where they really drill into Bethesda's ass by repurposing their announcement into a rather foul-mouthed parody of the announcement. So you can read that for yourself. I'm not going to read this. This video is going to get so demonetized, you have no idea if I read through this. Now, turns out that this right here is getting a lot more attention than expected. It's not just something that people within the fan base are talking about. It turns out that the domain is making mainstream headlines, as reported by Eurogamer. And they pointed to the following BBC article in which they actually interviewed the individual who secured the domain and wrote all of this. So I believe the guy's name is David Chapman from Indiana. He was reached out about why he did what he did, and he had a couple of responses to provide on that front. So it reads right here: he pinched the domain from right under the developer's nose, so anyone looking for information about the subscription would instead be greeted with his critique. And what he told BBC was, my motivation stems from a frustration with Bethesda, and in general, the current trend of the gaming industry. They said players had been asking for this. Players never asked to pay a subscription for features hidden behind a paywall. That was the straw that broke the camel's back and made me make the website. Indeed, if you look at a lot of the announcements that Bethesda's been making in regards to gameplay, microtransactions, and now the subscription, they keep talking about, oh, we heard the community feedback. This is obviously what you guys wanted, so we're going to give it to you. That's how they're framing this whole situation, as if to suggest that the community asked to be charged money, extra money, for a game that still isn't even worth the base $60 price point, given that it shipped broken, unpolished, and unfinished, and still remains broken, unpolished, and unfinished. Just the audacity for them to charge extra, especially after the promises they've made in the past about how they wouldn't charge for gameplay stuff. Framing this like we would be happy with this, ignoring the fact that when people submitted comments about how Fallout 76 could improve, it was with the expectation that they would just be patches and updates, free, you know? And so that's one aspect that pissed this individual off quite a bit, and it is certainly something that a lot of people called Bethesda out on when protesting against this stuff. And then from there, the article further quoted David Chapman. He talked about how he feels about the way everyone's responded to this website that he put up. So he said, I've been a fan of the series for some time, but I haven't played Fallout 76 in 8 months. I love the response. The point I knew I'd done good was when someone said after they heard about Fallout First, they just typed in the domain I took and got my website. So it would seem as though when people heard about Fallout First, a lot of them went out of their way to actually type falloutfirst.com because, well, that's the name of the service. And instead of being greeted with something official from Bethesda, they're instead greeted with this mockery of a page. And yeah, this is something that's just been making a lot of headlines in general. A lot of gaming news outlets have covered this. But the fact that we're seeing BBC frickin' reach out to this guy and do a whole interview segment just goes to show how far and wide this story is spreading. Now, according to BBC, it didn't really cost David all that much to secure this domain. So it reads right here, he took the domain using the name of the online-only service, which Bethesda had not yet bought. And according to an invoice seen by the BBC, David's escapade cost $27.46. Those are $27.46 well spent, I would say. If it helps light a fire under Bethesda's ass, if it helps reinforce that so that Bethesda can snap out of whatever delusion of a reality they're living in right now, then I say go for it. Now, when asked if David would hand over the domain should Bethesda come to him and ask for it, he said he would happily do that, but he would also add a personal request. He said, quote, I would like to sit down with the Fallout creator, Todd Howard, and have a constructive discussion about Fallout First. I care about their games and the direction they are heading. I would love to be the mediator between Bethesda and the gaming community. Honestly, a chimpanzee at this point could be a better mediator, a better bridge between the community and Bethesda than how Bethesda is handling this whole situation. But I'm not sure who made the decision to implement the subscription service. Was it ZeniMax? Was it the higher-ups at Bethesda? Did Todd Howard have a hand in all of this? Regardless of who is responsible ultimately for what's happened with Fallout 76 and who is responsible for the subscription introduction that's got so many people pissed, the fact remains that Bethesda needs a serious intervention right about now. Another way people are taking to protest is within the game itself. So this Reddit user posted the following. Anyone want to grab protest signs and stand outside Vault 76 with me? We can snap some screenshots and have fun with that at least. Now it turns out some people actually picked up on this idea. As this Reddit user pointed out, somebody actually did that already and posted what they did on Twitter. And that looks something like this. So you can see right here, if you can read that, it reads, boycott Fallout 76 and Bethesda. This guy's just giving the thumbs down. A dude back here just walking back and forth with a sign. And this tweet reads, Boss Daddy came upon an expression of free speech today and just as freely expressed his disagreement. This is pretty hilarious, not gonna lie. I don't know how many people actually took up the mantle of doing something like this. Apparently some people suggested that instead of protesting within the game, just don't play the game. It reads right here, I'm going to take back what I said as some people are making a good point. To really protest, just simply don't play the game at all and Bethesda will actually take notice. I won't do it anymore, but I'll leave it up to you folks if y'all choose to use my idea still. That's the thing. If people are still playing, if people are still paying, the noise won't ultimately matter. Clearly, the language Bethesda is speaking right now is money. They're just trying to milk as much out of people's wallets as possible. They are acting like a corporation right now, not game developers or artists. So the only language you can retort with and protest with is money. So stop giving Fallout 76 money if you want this stuff to stop. It would seem as though they said in a previous post that the gameplay microtransactions, the repair kits, the scrap kits, the Electron bot, the refrigerator, all that stuff, became the most popular items in the Atomic Shop. When Bethesda asked for feedback from the community about what is inconvenient about the game that we can improve upon, they exploited the community. They took all that feedback. They went, all right, let's keep those inconveniences in, and then let's charge people money. Bethesda's excuse with the way they're implementing microtransactions is, oh, we're very careful to watch the game balance. This is just convenience. It's just shortcuts. It's not pay to win. That's how Bethesda put it, but people are catching on to the fact that that doesn't make this any less crappy. It doesn't make the broken promises and the constant lies any less unacceptable. And people are protesting in all sorts of creative ways now, whether it's in-game or by taking advantage of Bethesda's own irresponsibility, their own negligence. Last we heard from Bethesda, they said that they are working on fixing the broken aspects of the subscription service, namely the scrap boxes, which in an initial statement they said, oh, no, this feature is not broken. Items aren't disappearing. It's just there's some UI issues. That's what it is. And then hours later, they came back and said, wait a minute, we actually investigated further. Turns out items are disappearing. We'll make this our top priority to fix. Even their PR statements launch broken and they have to patch it down the line. It's all so dreadfully and heart-crushingly poetic and hilariously poetic at the same time. So this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. I know I keep hammering on with Fallout 76, but I do believe that it's important to not let Bethesda off the hook with this. I mean, obviously, the previous backlashes were not enough for them to stop with these shady monetization antics. So what do you think will happen if we let them get away with this? They'll keep pushing. They've proven with the subscription service that they'll keep pushing. It started with like these temporary health boosts with costumes. It was like a limited time event. Then it turned into permanent gameplay affecting microtransactions additions. Now it's a subscription service that paywalls key gameplay elements, key gameplay promises. What's next? I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past them at this point. They're just, they're so desperate to monetize this game. And to pretend like the community, to put out this propaganda that the community loves this stuff. Anyway, that's all the information I have for you today in regards to how the community's been reacting to this whole situation. Yeah, Bethesda's really lit a forest fire with this one, I'd say. The backlash is pretty substantial. Let me know in the comments below what your take is on all of this. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.